The Rings of Power is bad. And you don't have to watch full series or be Tolkien fan to understand this. You can actually feel it from very first episode. It is slow and boring, there are weak actors, empty characters, bad dialogues, unpleasant visual, etc. But I want to understand what all these abstract words means precisely. What exactly happens on the screen that evokes these countless little hints of disappointment, ruining entire experience. Unlike most reviews, in my analysis, I will talk only about the first episode of Rings of Power, and I will make zero comparisons with Tolkien canon or Peter Jackson's trilogies. I found several reasons why this episode fails, and I will explain them all in separate videos. Today our focus is opening scene. Opening scene is extremely important for the story, and it's also a very complex thing. On the one hand, during first minutes, viewer's brain is very sensitive, and this first impression can determine viewer's experience for entire movie. On the other hand, during first minutes, viewer's brain is kinda stiff and sleepy and distracted, and you should really hook viewer, grab his attention, wake him up and immerse him into the world. And I feel that Rings of Power opening scene fails at both. It loses me as viewer from first minutes and doesn't give me anything valuable about upcoming story. First problem. This scene lasts 4 minutes. Guys, 4 minutes is absolutely insane amount of time. For example, in first 3 minutes of Dune or Avatar, we've already watched the separate movies with dozens of scenes, character development and world building. After 3 slow-paced minutes of Game of Thrones opening scene, we've already got some hooks, such as Wall and White Walker's Massacre. But in Rings of Power, we look at low value, low engagement, 2-minute scene with kids and 2-minute dialogue. In intro you can't waste any time, but Rings of Power does. Second, visual problems. I want to start with what this scene does good visually. First, this scene shows us this bright green-yellow color palette, which is visual language of the entire series, so it creates association in our brain and more consistent visual experience. That's good. Unfortunately, I personally don't like visual language of entire series, so another scene in these golden bright colors doesn't help me personally. And second good visual thing that this scene accomplish, it comes to an end. So we can look at Elf City and Elf Tree, which is actually a great world building visual element. Thank you! And that's it for good. What feels as main visual problem of the scene is lack of visual information. We see random nature, random kids who don't look like elves, random paper ship scene, random dialogue. So I've got less than 0 unique valuable visual information. Just for comparison, this is visual information, this is visual information, this is visual information, and even this is visual information. But random field and random kids in epic mythology story, it is not. Let me give you an example. Dune Prophecy is as bad as Rings of Power. Nah, it's actually better. But during same 4 minutes of opening scene in Dune Prophecy we can see war with machines as key element of world building, young Valia in her home world that we will see later in series, sisterhood as key location of series, important character who means a lot for the story, political stuff in palace decoration as one of the core settings of whole series, DNA manipulations as one of the core themes of series, and another batch of characters we will see during series. I feel all this stuff actually evokes more interest in my brain. After 4 minutes I have opportunity to feel the world, I already got vast visual library and necessary association in my brain. But in Rings of Power opening scene for 4 minutes I look at young Galadriel I'll never see again, Valinor showed as default boring field I'll never see again, useless kids I'll never see again, and brother who will die after 1 minute. It is amount of visual content for maybe 15-20 seconds, not 4 minutes. Third, script problems. Look, I understand, I look like retard or like Durin, but I'm not. And I perfectly understand what writers tried to say with this scene. And in theory, it even works, like we can see some themes that will be recurring throughout the movie. Galadriel conflict with her own kind, Galadriel warrior nature, this intuition that elves are superior bright creatures, but they still carry some darkness inside even being children. Dialogue about inner darkness versus light, which is Galadriel's character key theme. Brother, whose death should be a key element in Galadriel's character development. And overall, this scene should evoke emotions like bright heaven fields, innocent children, beautiful elves dressed in white, and kinda to make contrast with war and Morgoth that coming. Yes, very deep, it all sounds great, but it doesn't work. So why, if it sounds so good? First, obvious, you can't help but it's just boring to watch. 4 minutes is just death sentence. Second, Galadriel is important character, maybe main one, but I think it's more like epic fantasy about huge world and big mythological figures. Why to be so focused on Galadriel? Third, it is just too weak. We are watching epic fantasy, but we are looking at kids playing on little field. In my opinion, it's just wrong scale for this type of story. Fourth, why it is random kids? Why not to make it little Galadriel and little Elrond and little this motherfucker, for example, to add some weight to character development? And last one, theme of inner darkness and light. Again, just too weak. I can't really feel this theme if you show me kids playing and just talk about it. If you will build whole series around this theme, and you will, give me something more visual, more exciting, more traumatic, something. So yes, all these goals, all these themes that this scene has are great, but it seems like creators chose the weakest ways to show them. And next topic actually is absolute failure, just dialogue with brother. First reason why this dialogue sucks. Again, I just don't think you can allow 2-minute abstract boring dialogue in your opening scene. It is very slow, it is not engaging, it is not emotional, it is not informative. Second, they've made the most simple, no-brainer, gay form of dialogue possible. Just over the shoulder. Just look. Wide shot, over the shoulder brother, over the shoulder Galadriel, over the shoulder brother, over the shoulder Galadriel, wide shot, repeat for next 2 minutes. Like, you know, at least characters could just walk, at least move, you know? But we're talking about dialogue of immortal creatures in opening scene of epic mythological story. But no, it's just 2 minutes over the shoulder. Crazy. Third reason why this dialogue is bad, because it's abstract, pretentious poetry. What this poetry actually accomplish? It doesn't evoke any emotions, it doesn't convey any information, it doesn't create any connection between characters, but it successfully destroys viewer attention and interest. And I'm sorry, I promised I wouldn't reference to original trilogy. But you telling me that this is the way that elves speak, like they have to speak in anti-engaging, anti-emotional gay language. But just remember this scene from original trilogy when Elrond telling about Arwen's fate. Like this scene has so good balanced poetry, so absolute emotional depth. Like this is how elves' emotions should look like. Do you understand? It's like immortal emotions, emotions lasting centuries, emotions of the depth that human cannot reach, but not this empty boring text. And main reason why this dialogue absolutely fails is because purpose of this scene was to show Galadriel's connection with her brother, to launch her personal development based on the pain of losing him. But the worst thing you can possibly do to establish emotional connection is to show absolutely emotionless dialogue. And another problem, after 1 week scene with brother, viewer doesn't care about him at all. But they try to create emotional significance of brother's death for Galadriel character that we believe in. But they showed us one bad dialogue scene with him, one scene of him lying dead, one scene when he is a tree, and also one flashback. Like, it is not enough, you can't evoke enough emotions after these. Possible solutions. First, don't try to tie any emotions to brother. You can use him as a reason for character, but don't expect any emotional impact for viewer. Or, second solution, if Galadriel is a character who is built around these deep, dark, traumatic emotions, show us more scenes when they two are together, make these scenes truly emotional, and only then kill him. And last reason why I think this opening scene is bad, this might be the most subjective reason so far, but strange cinematography. Watching Rings of Power, I can't get rid of feeling that I'm watching commercial, TV commercial. You look at this and almost in any shot you understand, I'm watching series. It is serious. I understand this creator decision to make this dreamy, tactile, heaven, innocent scene of children, and these close-ups should serve this purpose. But I don't know, I don't feel that these type of close-ups should be in the movie. It just feels wrong, like I'm watching commercial right now. It is commercial. Or cheap TV series. Also, I'm pretty sure you can't get so close to character faces. First thing that comes to mind, you obviously ruining frame size. Like this entire dialogue scene made of close-ups without changing of frame size. I guess it is violation and that's why it feels wrong. And I guess they tried to show some intimacy with these endless close-ups, but in fact they oversaturate this scene with close-ups and that's why you can't feel anything. Like, you know, close-ups like this meant only for the most emotional moments, not for every single moment in the scene. And also whole this segment with paper ship looks a lot like commercial. You know, during whole video I'm only criticizing, but I love to laugh more than I love to criticize, believe me. And let me show you something good to compare with. Opening scene from Dune. Opening starts with this. And you immediately waking up after this and you are more engaged, and this is very strange, but it puts you in this specific Dune vibe. Then during opening scene we see visuals of Arrakis, harvesters, Harkonnens, freemen, spaceships, couple characters, and this is immediately carves these images in our mind, making it more familiar to us. Also, these visuals are various. We see static dreamy desert shot versus tense harvester and freeman shot versus bright industrial Harkonnen shot versus dark desert battle versus very static spaceship shots. And during all opening scenes we have good exposition, world building informational layer, and it is done great. A lot of information, a lot of words like spies, Harkonnens, emperor, but still done very simple and not overwhelming you. And poetic emotional layer of exposition, but it establishes overall vibe, overall emotional tonality. So guys, that's it. This was the first video in this Rings of Power episode 1 series. So thank you for being here. I hope now you understand how opening scenes are important and that you will not make shitty opening scenes when you create series for $1 billion, motherfucker. Also, I guess I forgot to make call to action. So subscribe to my Telegram channel. Subscribe to this channel. Subscribe to everything you can find about me and send me money. Bye bye.